Trisha has made a lot of claims about being under the influence in the past, even citing some of these times as the reason as to why she did a lot of the harmful things she did on this platform. And her fans frequently use it as an excuse to explain away bad behavior. But what are these claims exactly? We thought we'd dive into her history and see what Trisha had to say for herself. Be warned though, there's a lot of contradicting statements up ahead. On Frenemies, Trisha spoke about how she was heavily under the influence at just 19 years old.
I was on heavy drugs. When I was 19,
You're just like, fuck.
Yet at the age of 26, she couldn't even identify one of these hardcore well-known substances.
Leaves with the coke. I believe it's coke. I'm not a druggie.
And at the age of 24 made it clear that she didn't do any substance at all. Which aligned with her not even being able to identify a well-known one only 2 years later, because she wasn't involved in that scene.
I'm totally, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't.
Yet back on Frenemies, she spoke frequently about her usage.
I did a lot of drugs down here because I thought it was cool, but...
What kind of drugs did you do?
Everything. Coke, meth, heroin.
Nice.
Surely if she was this experienced, especially at 19, she would have no problem identifying a substance at the ages of 24 and 26, right? Even at the age of 30, she made it clear that she wasn't a heavy user. In spite of her saying the opposite later on Frenemies.
Drugs and stuff, it's kind of the same thing. I'm not a heavy drug user, obviously.
A lot of instances in her relationship with Jason Nash are excused away by her being under the influence at the time, but Trisha herself states that she never was during their time together.
He made fun of my looks all the time. He always told me I was fat and that I looked like death and that I looked strung out.
Oh, bro.
He told me I looked strung out when I wasn't even on drugs. He's like,
you could make fun. I didn't say you couldn't. I'm just.
Well, I'm not about making fun of people's looks, but like, ew.
Some people.
She had more to say about her use on Frenemies, of course, though.
Do you know I one time stood up Rhett and Link? I flaked on them like
you were
early
supposed
on
to go on the
career.
show and you bailed?
No. It was like when I was like 18, like when YouTube first started, maybe 19, because they were an OG. And I got an LA casting and I didn't know who they were. They're like, Rhett and Link is paying $50 for like to be in a car washing. I swear. And I was supposed to go to the car wash and they wouldn't call me, but like their assistant or someone kept calling me all day, like, where are you? We need you for the car wash. I was just like on drugs. I was just like chilling.
Big mistake hiring you.
We have Hyde. This is Club. Is the first time I did heroin. It was a fun time. I was very skinny.
When talking about her trolling videos, she claims she was on a lot of meth at the time, but then seconds later tells Ethan she barely tried meth for the first time that year before they met. Meaning she couldn't have possibly been on it for the troll videos that happened years prior. So how is it that she's using the excuse of meth while in the same breath saying she just started it now?
Well, at the time, like, okay, here's the thing. All those videos were made. I used to be really into drugs. I did a lot of like meth and stuff like that. So when I did those videos, I was high for sure. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't think I'm African American, but I made that video with sunglasses on for a reason. Obviously, I was the chicken nugget era. That was my truth at the time.
You were a chicken nugget. That was your truth
at the time because I was fucked up.
Okay.
I mean, that was like Special K shit. You know what I mean? Like that was like
you were deep into, but in your mind you were goofing around. Obviously,
you did math.
Did you think you were a chicken nugget?
I did what?
What did you say that you were on?
She said
Special K at that time. Well, I was doing a lot of K, which is a lot of like that's like a party.
I think, right?
Yeah, I was doing that, and I was it's a mix, and then I tried meth for the first time this year when you did my videos when I had that day you posted it was my birthday, and when I ended up in like the hospital for a meth overdose. So
on top of that, she then goes on to say that she was completely sober during her trans video, and claimed she no longer took pills even though she told Dr. Drew the opposite.
In my head, I feel I haven't done drugs since May 8th, but I drink, but I don't do drugs. But and in my head at the time, I thought I'm gonna respond. This is like I was like pissed about it. You know what I mean? So same thing with chicken nugget, same thing with the black, same with the lesbian. At the time, those were my truths in my head.
So okay.
But I was sober when I made the transgender video. I'm sober now.
So okay.
I haven't done drugs since May 8th.
And
since May, you're saying?
May 8th, yeah, the day you guys made the video.
Well, I mean,
is that something that's ongoing in your life?
No, I had a bad drug addiction from like 19 to like 22. Then I was clean for like 5 years, and then I like just did it occasionally. But I'm not really that person. And then this year I kind of got back on the wagon through somebody I know, and yeah, but I did a lot of pills, like a lot of like pain pills and stuff for my thing. Mm-hmm. So that's been my whole life is just pills, which I can't even take them. Like if I have surgery now, I don't even, like I tore my meniscus in September and I didn't take any pain pills for it. I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I was definitely high and like fucked up and stuff when I did those videos.
Here's a few more honorable mentions. One with her suddenly claiming to have done coke when she mentioned before she couldn't even identify it. She's claiming she did it years before the video where she couldn't identify it.
It was that situation, but I told him I didn't want money. I was like, oh, I'm like really excited to like hang out. Like I don't need money. I was just like into drugs and stuff. I was like, give me just drugs.
What kind of drugs were you doing with him?
Oh God, he was doing oxys, and I just did coke at the time, I think. And to me, that was like expensive. So I was like, I need all.
He had coke for you, even though he was doing oxy.
Yeah,
that's a man who's prepared to shoot a weapon at a prostitute.
He had everything. He was ready for heroin. I actually only shot up heroin one time, but he had it at the time. I didn't do it with him, but I was too scared. He was like, I'm ready. Like, I'll wrap your arm. And I was like, ugh. So at the time I didn't, but he had everything.
There's a vampire in my house. It's 100% real. 100% real. I promise you guys, I may have taken a few drugs before that video, but it isn't. When I did that video, I probably took like 10 Percocets. And I was like, I woke up and I literally thought I was a human. I'm not fucking kidding you guys. I woke up that morning, I had literally 20 chicken nuggets because I was so hungry and I thought I was dying anyway, so I'm like, okay, my last was 20 chicken nuggets.
She also complains that Jeffree Star accused her of being under the influence when she wasn't, even though she herself has repeatedly said that she was.
So it's almost, by the way, it's unbelievable the way you describe it. But what's crazy about this stream from Hair by Jay is that he literally corroborates everything you're saying.
Of course. No, but not only
It's
does he
all
do it.
true.
That guy you saw before, he told me. Another guy, Oscar, said he doesn't mind if I say his name. Oscar Wilde, who was on that trip, he's tattooed. He also confirmed it and also said other stuff that Jeffree continued. So the reason I didn't accept Jeffree's apology is because he continued to talk shit and said I was on drugs, said I was on heroin to this guy Oscar. Like, so Jeffree, like the drug thing, saying I was on drugs.
By the way, your skin is nice. Your skin is not bad, just so you don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, well, there's definitely something wrong with my skin now. My skin then, I mean, and Jeffree knew this, and everyone knew this, so that's that.
They know you're insecure about it, so they're like, fuck you.
And I was on that drug binge. Like Jacqueline Hill's ex-husband was out, and we did a bunch of drugs, and everyone saw it like online. Like I was just coming off of like a really high like meth binge, and like so my skin was like horrible. And like I opened up Jeffree days prior to this trip, which is why he invited me on the trip. I was over just at his house by myself, and I was just like, yeah, like my body's fucked up from like drugs, my skin's fucked up because when I take drugs, I can't be an addict because I fucking like my skin was horrible. And he's like, oh my god, like no, like that, you know, like you're brave, you're like getting sober. So for the fact that they were like making fun of my skin like after this like huge binge, I was just like, what the fuck?
On her personal channel, she talked about only ever having had an addiction to one thing, and that was pills, stating that she didn't do drugs. This was in 2019, the year she claims to have had a bad problem with them when talking to Ethan.
You do drugs. I don't do drugs. I had a pill problem, and I still think I kind of like take pills when I definitely don't necessarily need them. But I had a severe pill addiction. And I never got addicted to like coke or weed or anything. I've done it. It doesn't do too much for me. It's fun sometimes, but.
In fact, the only time she claimed to have been on anything that year was when she used it as an excuse to explain why she drove her car into ex-boyfriend Jason Nash's house.
I still haven't drank any alcohol or used any drugs or been on any pills since May 8th into the hours of May 9th, but I say May 9th. So, and for the past month, I've been trying to like rebuild and like really work on me without the aid of drugs and alcohol, but instead therapist and friend support, which I've never reached out to either before. And through that, I have been able to, what is today? It's the 5th. So through that, oh my gosh, I'm almost 1 month sober. May 9th was my last alcoholic intake or any sort of substance in my body. So I'm almost 1 month sober.
She also made it clear that after the Jason Nash breakup that was the first time she ever tried hardcore substances, yet told Ethan that she had been on them since the age of 19, remember?
I have been addicted to prescription drugs and illicit drugs. I tried really scary drugs for the first time in my life, some really hardcore ones I've never tried before in the past couple months, and it all came to an abrupting halt on my birthday, May 8th, when I just took a little bit too much of everything and the party had to come to a stop. So I had to become disciplined. I had to stop alcohol. I had to stop prescription drugs. I had to stop illicit drugs. I was like hospitalized and stuff like that from drug use, but all that stopped in May. So from May like 8th to which was my birthday. Love that, my birthday. From May 8th to now, which is August 20th, has been all me and keeping it off and trying to just exercise and drinking lots of water and that. But
here's a little more of what she said in regards to pills. In the year 2019, when she claims she was heavily using hardcore substances, she says here the opposite, that she wasn't at all.
And then we talked about like drugs and stuff like that and drug use and being an addict and being sober. I don't consider myself an addict of drugs, recreational, well, for pain pills, yes, but like recreational drugs, no. But see, now I'm back on pain pills for my knee injury, which is helping tremendously. I went to physical therapy as well today, and it's really been strengthening my knee, and I'm really, really happy about that. Like I can finally walk and stuff like that, but these pain pills I'm back on, and I feel almost dependent on it, like to function. Because I've been focused lately, I don't know, and I'm like, is it because of these pain pills? Which is weird. I don't know if that's a result of pain pills being focused. And like I said, aside from Percocets right now, I'm not on any medication or drugs. I drink a little tonight, but I don't really drink.
And in 2011, when Trisha was 23, she again denied doing drugs. Back in this year, she was frequently on YouTube posting constantly about her Christian conservative values, which lines up with her admission that she had never taken a single substance.
True. My dreams are crushed yet again. I don't think you do enough drugs to be Charlie Sheen's goddess.
It seemed like Trisha was more honest in her earlier years on YouTube. The truth is that she wasn't on any substances and hasn't been on anything heavy, and only used these as excuses to avoid responsibility for her trolling. Which is why earlier in this video we pointed out how she claimed in the same breath to have been very experienced with meth, only to say a sentence later that she was trying it for the first time that year she spoke to Ethan. She can't even keep her story straight when she references what she used, frequently mistaking one substance for another and not remembering what she said she had been on.
Tomorrow, January 4th, is my YouTube anniversary. I didn't celebrate last year because I was strung out on like drugs, coke, meth, all of it. I literally was so high I couldn't even film videos. If you know, you know.
She spoke about her father knowing about her substance use during a time that she had already admitted she never even used, which couldn't have happened. You don't go from ODing 1 year to later in the same year having a whole YouTube channel where your whole personality is being a straight-edge conservative who can't even identify a single substance.
I had not quite as extreme of a situation, but I had a situation when I was like 17. I wanted to go be on this TV show. My dad was like, no. Basically, my dad had money, was sending me to community college because I couldn't get into a university. That's a whole other story. Not because of my grades, but just because like I didn't really finish high school, like really logistically. And so basically I like went off on my own. I did come back, but it was under different conditions. Under the conditions, like basically I had an overdose, and my dad like came and like rescued me and took me to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for a few weeks. It's like 2007, 2008, one of those years around Christmas time. So I was like in the hospital for weeks.
And again, she was upset with Jeffree Star for claiming she was using, yet had this to say.
And then of course I met this guy, and then, you know, I was like so happy I had my Christmas party, and then I met this guy, and it kind of like got me into drugs and stuff, and then I like kind of went on this like crash and like this downward spiral. I had that trip with Jeffree that was like a nightmare, February 2020, and then of course quarantine hit.
So why was she so upset with him for saying this about her, if she says it about herself? In fact, she even says she was using in the beginning of meeting Moses, which she says because she's fully aware of how she treated Moses at this time and needs an excuse for why she physically hurt him.
A lot of factors. One, we were in quarantine. Two, I was on a lot of Xanax. Like, you know, I was a different person obviously back then. I was doing like pills all the time when I first met him. I don't do any anymore, which I think helps a lot. I'm not paranoid or cuckoo, which is crazy actually, because the pills I was on was like actually supposed to help you be mentally stable, and it didn't.
She tends to use the excuse of using frequently to avoid responsibility. It seems like every time she hurt someone she just happened to be using at the time.
Hey guys, what
What is up? Welcome to More Seasoning. Just kidding. Welcome to Cooking with Trish. But I actually got this recipe from a channel called More Seasoning. Shout out More Seasoning. It is Jaclyn Hill's boyfriend, long-term boyfriend. I apologize. I definitely made fun of his channel before, but honestly, that just came out of a place of hate and a lot of drugs, and I'm sorry. I'm no longer on drugs. I think they're in a really cute relationship, but actually I've always stand Jaclyn, but you know, birdies and then whatever. I stand John Hill too, but I also stand Farnham, More Seasoning. I stand them all. There's no, I don't like this person.
She even used this reason as to why Frenemies fell apart, once again claiming she was on them even though it was very clear that she was not, and her behavior had nothing to do with the use of substances.
And there's just other things where you don't really realize until other people point them out. And up until last year, that's what I'm saying, 2021 Trish is like a really different Trish. Because up until last year, you know, the beginning of Frenemies was really rocky. Yes, I was abusing prescription drugs and stuff like that, but it was really rocky. I realized like I wasn't going to therapy at the beginning of Frenemies the way I needed to be.
She can't even keep her story straight of what it was that she was doing and when. She claims she was using heavy substances in 2008, yet a year prior in 2007 is when she started her YouTube channel and when she was consistently posting every day, with vlogs, where we constantly saw her and what she was up to, which she seems to forget.
And I was like well out of high school when Twilight came out, and I was like literally shooting up, like snorting crack, like just doing the most at that age, just trying to, you know, survive.
But of course she had more to say.
Just beautiful. Like, I just wish I could have been Bella in that movie. Like, just, you know, where was I? How come I wasn't discovered in a bank on Melrose? Probably because I was snorting behind a bank on Melrose. I'm like, not you. Although Bella has undertones of like, maybe she's an addict. Maybe this is all like a hallucination. She has like vibes of that.
Odd, we don't remember that vlog. Here she is again claiming it was only ever pills and food that she was into and addicted to, despite her other claims.
A former fast food addict, I guess you could say. Fast food consumer. Like, I'm so embarrassed by that, but like, hey, we all have to start somewhere. Literally never in a million years I think I would become vegan. But it started with my meditation. It started with rock bottom. And I've been in rock bottom before because I've been addicted to like prescription pills and stuff like that. Any addictions that I had last year, I've been sober since December 2020. So almost a year.
Yet she also claimed she was using in 2010. She paints it like she was living in a cracked out apartment with no internet. Yet she was living in an expensive apartment on a beach in California and was consistently posting on her YouTube channel every day.
Because when they came out with Black Parade, it was supposed to be the time where I was like graduated high school, 18, going into college, all stuff like that. Like, no, I was broke as a joke. I was literally hooking on the streets. I didn't have internet. I didn't have like Wi-Fi. Like, I did. If you look at the videos from like 2007, which is when I started YouTube and I was like 19, like I'm literally in this like a little shack apartment with like an air mattress behind me. Like sometimes I had Wi-Fi, sometimes I didn't. You know what I mean? It was like one of those things where I just go to like Starbucks. Anyways, so I was just completely out of it. There was no way in hell that I even knew like My Chemical Romance was putting out music because I just didn't, like my car didn't work, like I didn't have a radio, like literally, like, yeah. And then of course Danger Days, like I was just drugged out of my mind. So like didn't know this even happened. I like started like getting back into MCR when I heard they were gonna do a reunion show.
Here are more honorable mentions of what she's claimed her past was like.
Give me coin, you know what I mean? Just give me coin in the bank. Like, I don't know about crypto. Like, I only go to the moon when, you know, before I was like sober, you know what I'm saying? But I've been sober for so long. It's so funny how like I've been sober for like almost a year now. Like people always say I'm on drugs. Like me sober is what people think are on drugs, which are you gonna go see MCR when they do a show again? Yeah, I had tickets. So when My Chemical Romance announced their tour in 2020, before the panoramic, I was single and I was literally gonna follow them around everywhere. Like I had tickets for Boston, Houston, and all the nights in Los Angeles. So I mean, I wasn't really following them around everywhere, but I like wanted to go to every show. And I don't know now because I'll be freaking married, which is crazy. When they announced their 2020 tour, I was like single, so depressed, like addicted to, you know, hugs. all of that, and now I'm freaking married, sober, monogamous. Like, it's crazy. And I chose that for a multitude of reasons. One, it saved my life. Like, it literally saved my life in 2019. Like, I was heavy on drugs again, which I never thought I would be. I met this person that I want to be cool with and do drugs with. So down, like, literally almost died so many times, in Black Parade, like, literally saved me. That's why I started Sad Boy 2005. Like, I needed some direction, I needed some purpose, I needed something to do besides doing drugs with this person. It was this song playing when I don't even know if I want to say this, when I had a near-death experience. And I know people are going to sound crazy when I say this, and maybe I can go into it later in a story time. Just really, now's not the time, because I don't ever talk about it. But I actually think I died. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of hard for me to talk about, because it wasn't necessarily like this like amazing experience of like, I came back and I know what death was like. It was actually a really scary, traumatizing thing. And yes, I'm talking about like a potential drug overdose. I was using a lot. I have no recollection from Christmas Eve 2019 into like the beginning of 2020. I had someone staying with me that got me really, I started doing a lot of drugs. I'm not gonna blame that person. Like, I definitely fell into some not nice things that I never experienced before. And it was really scary.
And here are things Trisha spoke of when she was actively preaching against substances in 2011, which would be a year and years after she claimed she was heavily on substances, which makes no sense, because here she is saying she's never done them. Not even weed, because she knows people who have suffered because of it.
I wasn't going to even respond. When you get high, your mind is altered. My family has suffered loss due to this. She was killed by a driver who was high on marijuana. Perception was off, hit her as a pedestrian. Not one drop of alcohol in the driver's system. Things are illegal for a reason. Last I checked, I don't need approval for having an opinion. It's not a judgment, y'all are the defensive ones. Y'all can smoke all the pot you want, it's not for me, and I'm not going to deny how I feel. Respect, please. You both are ignorant to say I haven't done my research. How dare you? It's consumed my life for the past 6 years. Because it's personal, whoa, I'm sorry, I don't feel like sharing my family's death on YouTube. It's not my position, what the heck? Why? I am anti-pot. I will do whatever I can to stop the legalization of it.
Does someone who was actively trying to stop the legalization of weed in 2011 seem like a heavy substance user to you? And apparently Trisha felt so passionate about that she even admitted in 2019, the year she was supposedly heavily using, that she still didn't smoke.
I look literally like I'm stoned. I'm not. I don't even smoke.
And remember, that's the year she spoke about doing things like this.
Yes, I did a whole video and I never released it. And it was like an 1.5 hour long video about why I was like loving meth this year, which is very not like me.
Did you say this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
My birthday party. After. Remember my birthday party? Oh!
Wow.
That's the tea. Oh my God, I got so much
Holy
tea.
shit.
Can we get Jason as a guest on this podcast? Because the tea at my birthday party is this. Jason blocked me that night.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was on meth, and there was some tea to that whole story, but I feel like I should only say it if he's
It's
here.
crazy for me. Like, I had no idea. I thought you were in perfect health and in great mood.
Yeah, no.
Interesting that her manager who saw her describes her as being in perfect health, yet she claims she was a wreck on meth. One has a history of lying and the other doesn't, so who would you trust? And remember, she had this to say, in spite of the fact she claimed to have been addicted to pills.
Not again. Okay, let's like fast forward because it's really not about to break up. But that I started drinking. I was like, I'm gonna drink, and I am not that person that goes to alcohol. I don't even go to pills really for this. Like, I have pain pills because of problems with my back. But I never was one like, but I was in so much pain, like using meth that I never did, and obsessively, like morning, noon, and night. It was really bad. Not all the time, but I was scared of who I was becoming because that's not me. Popping pills is not me. I would take them when I needed them, but drinking alcohol, abusing alcohol is not me, you know? When I was drinking like bottles of wine and like cheap champagne, I was like,
I can't even fathom that was me. When I knew how much alcohol was in my system and how many pills were in me, that's not me. I was scared to take like 2 Percocets one time because I was like, I was scared to take a Xanax. I used to take like half a Xanax. Like, I was scared of what they would, you know?
She claimed that she was so scared to take pills, and it wasn't like her to do anything like she did in the year 2020, yet she claims she's been on things since 2008. How is that possible? How can she be so experienced with usage in 2008, to saying she was so against substances that she was scared to take any and it wasn't like her? It's because she was never heavily using like she stated. This is the truth in that last clip. This is when she's being truthful. Not this version of her lying constantly.
I mean, people who are alcoholics have an addiction. How do you quit it? How do you stop? How do you not go back? How do you not relapse? I relapse every addiction I have. Food addiction, pill addiction, tanning, I guess, is an addiction to a certain degree.
Again confirming she didn't do anything at a young age, even though she later changes this and says she was during this time.
I was like making money, and I would like, and this is when I was not doing drugs or anything. So when I was like young, 18, and I was like escorting, I was like doing drugs, and like I was going on all drugs.
And remember earlier in this video, she said when she was doing them she loved it. But then says,
yeah, but I think it's also depends on the influence next to you, right? Because like, I'm not doing drugs, but if I was, you could easily get into that and abuse it.
Oh, but I hated doing drugs.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah, I am.
And a few more honorable mentions.
So like, I was doing really good at the end of 2020 when I was on tour, and then I hurt my knee, and then I got really like hooked back onto drugs. I had a massive relapse, and this was prior to ever meeting John Hill. Before ever talking to John Hill, I met him in late December. Like, I was definitely like abusing pain pills and other drugs and stuff like that after tour. So from last day of tour is October 20th. A lot of shit happened. That's why I was talking about my gender issues with my transgender video, and I got dropped from a lot of things. I was supposed to have a feature in Paper Magazine's Break the Internet issue, and I got dropped from that because they thought that I was mocking the transgender community in some way. And just for the record, I have like literally nothing against John Hill, and actually like last we talked, we were on really good terms. He was gonna be a part of Sad Boy, but it just didn't really work out. Like, I really, really wanted him to, because I think he is so talented. I think he's so talented. I like actually like really enjoyed his company. Like, he's a really, really nice guy. But when any relationship ends, right, like obviously people are gonna feel bitter towards each other, and so me trying to be cool and like impress him and also high out of my mind, and I'm just speaking for myself, last time I saw John, I know he said he was sober and like getting help, and I think that's awesome, and I really like think his sobriety is like so important to him, and like it's good, and I hope he does, because me being sober has been like game changer. I've really, because a lot of people are like, now we're just gonna believe Trisha all of a sudden is like a good person, and it's like, no, but I've like sobered up, you know, enough to know like, hey, I was an asshole. Like, I don't know, I just started becoming an asshole because I just wanted to like, I don't know, like I was just like fucked out of my mind. And then even Frenemies, at the beginning of Frenemies, I was like high on Xanax all the time. Like, I was always taking Xanax, and I've stopped completely, like literally since I got engaged, maybe around like Thanksgiving, so a little bit before I got engaged. No Xanax, nothing, like literally dumped them all out. But like, I definitely was insane. Like January 2020 to like, honestly, really, like October 2020, if I'm being real, November 2020, I was just messed up. I was just so messed up, and I was like, even to Moses, I was so messed up in the beginning of our relationship. Like, if you guys want a story time, I can give it to you, but I mean, people just use it against me and throw it against my face and stuff like that. But I mean, I was high on drugs and drove naked to Moses' house early on. Like, I'm surprised he ever wanted to talk to me, and he didn't, rightfully so, for a while. And it just was really embarrassing, and I look back and I'm embarrassed, and I'm like, I never want to be that way again. And my only quick fix was to become sober quick and not do drugs, not even do Xanax, not drink, no hallucinogens, and that's kind of where I'm at. And yes, I got fatter because I'm sober, but I'm much happier, and I'm just ashamed. And
here she is glamorizing substance abuse by having pills on her merch. The very thing she claimed she was addicted to.
Everything is like hand-dyed, like hand-stitched, spray-painted. They designed these little pills after my little emo phase.
More of her using substances as an excuse for why she mistreated people, including her husband.
So back at my old house, like, I was cray-cray. I was on a lot of Xanax. I did a lot of drugs. Like, I definitely wasn't doing the work on myself. And yeah, we used to have fights a lot that I would mostly just be instigating.
More of her alleged 2008 use that never happened.
when this was all going on in like 2008, I couldn't care less, because like literally was just, you know, just getting high every day, like wondering if I was gonna like have a bed to sleep in.
We're gonna go watch the final Twilight movie. I'm so sad this is over. We started on Friday, and yeah, it's the end of an era, and I love Twilight so much. I'm like way late on this trend, but I love it. And I wish I was into it when it was popular, but I was literally selling my body for drugs on the streets of Los Angeles. So.
I feel like Twilight again was a little bit out of my era because I was like 19, 20 when they came out. So I was just, you know, trying to make it work out here in LA, just trying to survive. So I don't think I had the luxury of going to a movie theater and watching vampires. I was being sucked alive by Hollywood vampires. So I was living that reality. I looked like her all the time, just strung out.
And here's mentions of her sobriety, even though the truth is that Trisha has always been sober.
Like, I've never been in so much pain, and I wasn't on drugs. I haven't drank like in a year, like used any drug in a year. I mean, antipsychotics, but nothing recreational or anything. We never fight. There's no trust issues. There's absolutely nothing. Like, it's really crazy because right now more than ever, like, this has been the most perfect relationship this whole year, you know, has been since being engaged, like sober, mentally stable.
I think it's when you really like somebody, you can be sober with them 24/7 and just enjoy it.
That's so true. I've been sober with you from everything since 2020 December.
Oh, wow.
Hmm? No, nothing. Pills, I'll taste like a sugar champagne. I guess the wedding, that's the one time I was like, ooh, because they had these like fruity drinks that were like smoothies, and I
yeah.
That snuck up on me. I was like, okay, and I was not feeling it. I was sleeping. I was like, this is not it. This is why I don't drink. But anyways, for anyone saying anything about that I'm drinking or something, you guys, I have been sober since December 2020. I have been regulating emotions and controlling myself and disengaging and setting boundaries since September 2021.
and like how far we've come, but like that proposal day was like so magical. I felt like that was like such a turning point in our relationship. It was a turning point in me where I was like, I'm just gonna be sober. I'm not gonna, you know, do any drugs or anything like that anymore. I'm gonna be the best version I can for my husband or for my fiance. Like I said, I look back at old me and like just the hatefulness that I was, and I was just like, wow, like that person was going through something. And yeah, and this ring, I just remember that proposal day, like it changed like my life because I have been sober ever since, off of pills, and also I had to take pain medication when I had my C-section, but other than that, like when I got home, I didn't choose to take the opioids or anything like that because I had one, and I was just like, no, I don't want to go down this path even when I was in so much pain for my C-section. So it changed my life, and it saved my life. I really, truly believe.
It's obvious she can't ever seem to keep her story straight, and she tends to lie about things she knows will gain her more sympathy or that will excuse her bad behavior. Notice how every time she hasn't been offensive she claims she was sober, but then if it's discovered that she has, she'll conveniently say she actually wasn't sober at that time. Trisha's go-to to get away with the awful things she has said and done is that she was under the influence at the time. But the only thing she has ever been under the influence of is entitlement.